This episode of Dopey is brought to you by our friends at Oro Recovery. They're located in sunny Southern California, in Malibu, in Silver Lake, and somewhere in Western Los Angeles. Oro was created by our friend Bob Forrest and his friends Evan, Jarrett, and Bob. Their mission is to create a facility where alcoholics and addicts are treated with connection and compassion rather than control. They have decades and decades and decades of experience in treating co-occurring mental health disorders, including severe mental illness, and they make sure your detox is as comfortable as possible, which is critical kicking heroin or crack or benzos or whatever. They have amenities you wouldn't believe: sound bath meditation, equine therapy, fucking the potentially spiritually transformative sweat lodge, and most importantly, everyone that I know that's gone to Oro has only said amazing things about it. So if you're fucked and you're looking for somewhere to go get better, please consider going to Oro. This episode of Dopey is brought to you by our very good friends at Sober Buddy, an incredible app that is incredibly available and useful to you if you need some help in getting or staying sober. Sober Buddy is the little blue fluffy guy you may have seen in sober memes on Instagram or Facebook. I love the Sober Buddy app. I really do, because it not only gives you challenges that help you get sober, it helps you think differently about your life. It has a sober tracker down to the second, daily check-ins that give you advice based on your mood, cute motivational memes, and helpful tips too. Over 60,000 people have already used Sober Buddy to help them get sober, and they have been featured in over 70 news stories, and I know there's a bunch of folks in Dopey Nation that love Sober Buddy. I've even started using it, and I'm really enjoying it. The Sober Buddy app is available in both iTunes and Google Play stores, or you can check out their website at yoursoberbuddy.com. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by our very good friends at Evolution Accounting and Consulting. They are a full-service accounting firm that can help you with your taxes, your bookkeeping, your payroll, and almost any other business need you may have. Thanks to technology, they work with people from all over the country and pride themselves on building exceptionally strong relationships with their clients. They say that their passion allows you to pursue yours because they understand the stress caused by worrying about taxes and accounting issues. When you allow them to take this off your plate, you'll be freed up to focus on what you love to do. And perhaps more importantly than all of that stuff, the firm is run by a fucking crackhead. Fortunately, he's been in recovery for years now and knows the struggle as well as the success. Use promo code DOPEY when you connect with them at www.evolution-accounting.com to receive special discounts. All right, new sponsor. This episode of Dopey is brought to you by our new friends, Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 because my cholesterol is high, and I'm worried about my health. And I needed a supplement that actually tasted great. And I heard so much about it from like super health places. I wanted to see what it was about. It is a amazing blend, this AG1. It's 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. And it actually tastes good. It actually makes my stomach feel good. It comes in the slickest packaging. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. Everybody has been on top of me to be taking a multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. And this one, you can feel the high qualityness. And I know I sound like I'm really schmaltzing it up, but I really like it. I've been taking it every day for like 3 weeks. It costs less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It has 7,000 5-star reviews, and Tim Ferriss can't shut up about how great it is. To make it easy, Athletic Greens also gives you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs, which I didn't realize were travel packs, and I just used them as scoops. But you get 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/dopey. Again, athleticgreens.com/dopey to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. I actually really like it, and I really, really do recommend it. Before we get to the show, I want to tell you guys also about the miracle that is Dopey Zoom. Are you in the Dopey Nation? Do you want to connect with people in the Dopey Nation? Go to Dopey Zoom. Are you looking for a better recovery routine? Are you searching for a new Sangha? Are you lost in the doposphere, looking to benefit from some connection? Dopey Zoom is there. There's over 25 meetings a week led by dopes like you. There's AA, NA, NOA, cooking, Dharma, whatever. They do it all. Check it out at 804-300-586. The password is Toodles. It's really amazing. It's free. Go see the dopes. Go to Dopey Zoom. Also, buy Dopey gear at dopeypodcast.com. We're in a partnership with a beautiful company out of Cincinnati, Ohio called SRO Prints. And we've got some really high-quality shit. We've got the new green zip-up Mantis hoodie. There's new shit coming out. And the coolest of the cool Dopey King Baby shit. Please check it out. And we have amazing candles from North Ave Candles. You go to northavecandles.com/collection/dopey, and the shit is super high quality and smells great. But that's enough with the ads. We've got an amazing high quality show. Here's the fucking show. Welcome to Dopey, the podcast on drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. My name is Dave, and we are in Manhattan at my dad's kitchen table, and I am joined by the lovely and talented Erin Khar, the author of Strung Out, the owner of an unsolicited advice columnist.
It's not unsolicited. It's unlicensed.
It's unsolicited and unlicensed.
It is solicited.
Right, a solicited yet unlicensed advice column and a former elite equestrian. What else can we add to the mix?
Mother,
wife.
Yes, wife, friend,
converted
daughter,
Jew.
Converted Jew.
What else?
I don't know.
She's working on another book, and she's back on the show. How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm happy it's spring. Things are blooming. White blossoms on all the trees on my block.
Spring is incredible.
Spring is incredible, except that my brain loves spring, but my body doesn't because my allergies are driving me insane.
How bad is it?
It's bad. I have like a constant headache.
Yeah, still?
Yeah.
See, my allergies were fucking off the charts over the weekend, crazy. I couldn't even open my eyes kind of thing. But I haven't had it since that day, since Saturday or something.
No, I mean, mine right now, it's like sinusy, so I just have like constant pain. I mean, you can't see me right now, but I'm showing Dave in between my eyes. It's just like this constant like knife in between my eyes.
The greatest thing about spring, in my opinion, the worse the winter, the more glorious the spring.
Yes.
And this winter was pretty rough. You don't think so?
It was a really mild winter.
No, it was cold.
About?
It
wasn't that cold.
It was cold, and
we had no snow.
We had a little snow. On Long Island, we had snow. We got hit by like fucking 5 feet out there.
That's right. You had that one bad storm.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like a polar vortex year. This really wasn't that bad.
No, but it got cold even in late March.
All right.
Which makes the spring more glorious.
Yeah.
We've had years lately where there's no snow. We had like 4 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Like, we had a lot of snow.
I mean, it's one of my favorite things. Like, so, I grew up in L.A., but my dad moved here when I was a kid, so I was back and forth. And people always ask me...
Whatever I say is bad, you always say, it's not that bad. So
I do?
The homeless and watching Square Park. These junkies, they're crazy. They're not that bad. Why am I why is everything less bad for you than for me?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if, I mean, I don't think my husband would agree with you. He thinks I'm a big complainer. But here's the thing is that, like, what's amazing to me, like, people are always like, oh, do you miss LA? Don't you miss the weather? And, like, no, it was like the same long fucking day that was so depressing. And the thing here is that even though you have, like, months of shitty weather, you know it's going to end. And when we get that first, it's still a little chilly. When it gets a little warmer, everything's in bloom. It's like spring fever. Like, if I was a single person, I would be like, okay, I'm ready to go on like 1,000 dates. Like, you really feel like you want to go out and like be like, woohoo!
It's like that, and it's also just the glory of 4 seasons. I always think there's 5 seasons, but there's only 4.
There's only 4. Although people make jokes that like there's like spring, like fake spring, and then like second winter and then spring.
Right. And the same with the summer, but
right.
Like I fucking love every season.
Me too.
Spring is like, I think fall is my favorite because I'm a depressing person.
I love fall because it's like Halloween, my birthday, spooky.
But it's also the end of the good time. Yeah. Like the warm starts to turn to cold and you're kind of reminiscing about how good it was and now we're getting serious. Like, I like that feeling. The spring I like too because it's like it was bad and now it's good.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you can enjoy taking your jacket off. Like I love taking I come to work with lots of layers. So like when it gets to this weather, I take my jacket off and I put it in my backpack.
Yeah.
And then I walk back. And that's a good time.
It's a really good time. And I like summer. I like this hot, I love even like hot, sticky August because it's again, like it feels like it's like a crazy energy. You go out at like midnight and it could still be like almost 90 degrees, but there's no sun and everyone's out and everybody feels a little crazy. And I like that energy.
I got sober. I got sober at the end of the summer the last time or in the middle of August.
What's your sobriety date?
August. I mean, I don't even know the real date. I've claimed August 13th.
Right.
But when I met Chris, I got out of Mountainside on June 1st, right? And I went into Mountainside, birthday, right? Which is my birthday, yeah. I went into Mountainside on May 3rd, and it was cold still.
Yeah.
And I went in there with one of those thermal hoodies. It was a green thermal hoodie that I loved.
Yeah.
It had a stain on it, but it was like my favorite fucking hoodie, and when I got there I had to wear it, and when I left it was warm and it was really uncomfortable because I went into that Mountainside that time coming off of heroin, like hardcore heroin use and hardcore benzo use, and there's something about being newly sober. I mean, it sucks to be newly sober in every season.
Yes.
But in June, it was like everything. It's like all this glorious weather was flouting my sobriety. You know what I mean? Like, it's so uncomfortable. I guess, but
it's uncomfortable. And you could find a way to be uncomfortable in any season.
Yeah, newly
but
sober.
I know what you mean. Like when it's hot out and you're dope sick, which was a lot for me because I was in California.
Which is horrible. But it's worse. I put my money on fall. Like getting sick in fall, it's like, well, everything is kind of dying and things are coming off the trees anyway. And like people have to go inside and you can be cold. You know what I mean? Like to be cold in your bones in late spring or summer.
Yeah.
It's in LA. I mean, I was sick in LA the whole time and it never stopped.
So awful.
It's like, when's the fall going to come?
There's
and
no
it never comes.
There's like a week where you're like, oh, this feels like that crisp fall air. And then nope, now it's going to be hot.
It's really horrible. And big news. And I know a lot of the animal loving members of the Dopey Nation is going to be aghast with this news. But somehow I let Linda convince me that we should foster a dog.
Oh, you're fostering, so you might keep the dog.
We got a dog. We might keep the dog.
Okay.
My great hope with the dog is that the dog would kill the cat.
I knew you were going to say that.
And then we'd have to get rid of the dog because it killed the cat.
Then you won't have any pets.
Right. Maybe that. I mean, I wanted the dog to come into our house and go on a killing spree, kill the guinea pigs, kill the cat.
Guinea pigs.
Kill the guinea pigs, kill the cat, and then we have to get rid of this insane dog.
Right.
But that hasn't been the case.
What's the dog's name?
The dog's name is Winnie, and she's
cute.
been the cat has been marginalized. That's a big plus of the dog. The cat's like doesn't want to sit with me.
Right.
The cat hasn't sprayed anything since the dog's been there. But the dog requires really early rising.
Yes.
Earlier,
It's a young dog.
It's an 8-month-old Vizsla mix.
They're cute.
She's cute. I like the dog. I'm in a big fight with Linda right now, though. Like a major fight. I shouldn't even
about the dog.
I shouldn't even talk about it. But
All right.
I'm going to.
All right.
Basically, I said if we get the dog, I can't really be responsible for the dog. I'm responsible for too much. I can't be responsible for the dog. And she said, okay. But what I didn't realize is because I'm up first in the morning,
You're on early morning duty.
I'm responsible for that moment.
Right.
And like today, if I come to Manhattan, I tend to wake up at 5:46. That's my alarm. And then I do my prayers. I pray. This morning, I prayed that Linda gets all the love and compassion that God so freely gives me. And I do my exercises. And then I sometimes...
Exercise?
Yeah, I do fucking 200 push-ups and 200... You can't tell? You don't see it on me? Every morning, I do 200 push-ups and 200 sit-ups. I pray, and often I meditate.
Wow.
I know.
I'm impressed. Oh, it's just like, can I take a little quick side note? My husband has started working out with a trainer. Never exercised before. He's like always been like thin, whatever. But like now he wants to, he's like, oh, I'm getting a dad bod. Now he won't shut the fuck up about exercise. It's driving me crazy.
What's he doing?
He goes and works out with a trainer at like, it's like with these like big guys that like, he's not trying to become like swole, but like he's going to get, you know, he comes back and tells me about like whatever it is he did and then extols the virtues of it. And like if he wants to like go more frequently and if like they cancel one for some reason, he's very upset. And he talks about it so fucking much.
Is he showing results?
I mean, I haven't really looked.
See,
I mean, probably, but like, it's not like he was out of shape. Do you know what I mean? So It's like harder to tell.
Well, last week, Jeremy Jackson of Baywatch, who's very ripped up, he's like a monster of musculature. I think we're going to put the Dopey Fitness Challenge back into effect.
Oh, God.
Are you prepared?
All right.
You're prepared?
Sure.
So I think Jeremy Jackson's going to be somehow facilitating the Dopey Fitness Challenge.
What if we get really fit?
That's the idea. We could get fit. I'm ready to go fucking full. Like, I know I'm a big fad dieter and stuff, but I'm ready to go full plant-based. I'm ready.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just to say that is amazing.
I eat mostly plant-based. I mean, I don't like... it's rare that I eat meat.
I'm ready to try, but I've failed. And last night, like with the dog and the stress, I had ice cream. I even got hot fudge. I never will pay for hot fudge on ice cream. And last night I broke down at Carvel.
Well, see, I should say I eat plant-based, but I do eat dairy.
I tried to get the plant-based Ben & Jerry's, and it's fucking garbage.
There's not... The best, if for anyone who can't eat dairy, like when I first had Franklin, he had an allergy to dairy, and I was breastfeeding. He outgrew his allergy, but... I found this, like, it's called, I think it's called So Good. Is that what it's called? I'll look it up.
And that's a good dairy-free ice cream?
It's like a cashew milk one, the Snickerdoodle. The Snickerdoodle
it sounds
cashew
like terrible.
milk. But Seth claims, like, he's like, it's still not, like, and then that, like, Van
Snickerdoodle's
Housen or
no
whatever,
good.
Van Leeuwen.
Yes.
They do a good vegan ice cream.
All right. Well, that's something to look into. But anyway, me and Linda got into this horrible fight because... And she doesn't listen, but she'll be pissed if she hears this.
You better cut it out.
Because basically the deal is, I'm like, what the fuck? If I'm commuting to Manhattan, I'm like, listen, you take the dog 3 mornings of the week, and I'll do 4. And she's like, she's not going. She was like, okay, I'll wake up at 6:30. But the dog is up earlier than that.
And so if you're up.
Yeah.
But is it really that big of a deal if you're already up to do the one?
Yes, because I'm like, I have to get up earlier because I'm so anxious that I'm going to miss the train. Like the dog has to fucking shit in the yard or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
At least you have a yard.
But I have to watch her.
Right.
I have to watch her in the yard. So what I've decided... And I didn't call my sponsor, but I know what my sponsor would say. He would say, keep your fucking mouth shut. He would say, he's like, you know how Linda is. You need to accept that you have to get up early and take the fucking dog.
I think you just get up 10, 15 minutes earlier.
Right.
Because you're already up anyway.
Right.
And Linda's got to deal with the kids when she gets up. Don't make her get up and do it. I'm going to side with her on this. I think you should just...
Everybody's siding with Linda.
I think that you should
except
just deal with it.
my inner child.
I know.
All right. So that we like the dog. The dog's name is Winnie. I think I think we're going to keep the dog. That's what
exciting.
I like the dog. I like the dog. And I don't even like dogs. I like our dog.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
And you may already be doing this.
Yes.
Get her trained.
Right.
Like pay for getting her trained. Like
Right.
whether one of you whether Linda takes her and does the training. Especially with a bigger dog, you're going to be better off getting the dog trained.
I took the dog. Have I complained to you about the meeting that I go to is on the beach and everybody brings dogs and it's like a dog show / dog fight more than a meeting?
Oh, no, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know that you complained about it.
Yeah, I complain about it all the time. And so I bring the dog to the meeting on Sunday and like everyone's like, he's a hypocrite. He should take a chip because he brought the fucking dog. But the dog was out of hand. It was like, It was chaos on a string.
You can't bring an untrained dog someplace where there's a bunch of other dogs.
I'm done with the dog at the meeting.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear your opinions about our new feline friend, our new canine friend. How do I get the dog to eat the cat? Can I put like dog food on the cat? Can I like roll the cat in steak sauce or something? Like what can I do to have the dog? That's really all I want. I want the dog to kill the cat.
That's not a good solution. That's going to be traumatic for everybody.
For the family?
Yes.
Not for me. I would feel like...
Not for you.
I'd feel really, really good about it.
But for Linda and Nora and Susan, it's going to be traumatic.
They love the dog. They seem to like the cat more. Even the cat's become likable now that she's been marginalized.
Hopefully the cat will stay in line now. We'll see.
I've enjoyed the cat now that I've seen her so much less, I have to say.
Well, that's good. And she's not spraying. As long as she doesn't spray, you're not going to mind that she's there.
When I used to do my exercises in the morning, the cat would attack my hand when I did push-ups. So I would take the cat and put the cat in the basement. Now the dog licks my head while I do push-ups. She like jumps and licks my head and my neck. So this morning I had to go downstairs with the cat to do my exercises down there, but the cat's so pissed off and traumatized, she's not even fucking with me.
Wait, you do 200 push-ups every morning?
Yes.
Like real push-ups?
Yes.
Or like modified push-ups?
No, real push-ups.
200?
200.
You have that kind of upper body strength?
I've developed it.
Wow. I'm actually pretty impressed.
Nice. Very good.
I can't do 200.
Well, Dopey Fitness Challenge. We start with 5.
All right. Yeah.
And you build. I started with. I mean, years ago, I remember I couldn't do any push-ups, so I started just doing them, and then when I started, I started doing much more when I got off methadone, and then I stopped, but I knew that I could do them, and then I don't know, like for the last few years, I've been doing them, but I think I need to do much more. I was talking to this guy, this dad. This like my daughter's friend's dad who's like ripped. He has one of these like resistance band gyms, and I told him that I do 200 push-ups and sit-ups a day, and he wasn't as impressed as you were, but he was impressed, and he said that you need to do 500 in order to get the results that I'm looking for.
Right.
And also fentanyl.
So wait, what are the results?
I want to like be.
You just want to be fit.
I want to like be fit. Like I want to.
I mean,
I don't want to be embarrassed when I take my shirt off.
I think that's the thing. Like I would like to be like confident in a bathing suit.
Right.
Again.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Fentanyl Jay. When I told him I did 200, he was like, "That's cool. I do 5." He says I'm ripped up like Rambo. He is.
Do we have any updates on Jay? What's happening with him?
He just got a second job.
Okay.
He's gonna come back on the show in a minute.
Okay.
He's working a program. He's we're fearful that he's gonna go back to prison soon.
Right.
But he has 355 days that they can lock him up, and then after that, the case gets thrown out.
Okay.
So, but he feels as though he's going to go to jail, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen. So we have an exciting show today.
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Oh, we have one of our sponsors, one of my favorite sponsors is Sober Buddy, and Sober Buddy is an app that helps you get or stay sober. And they were interested in us participating in something they do called the Sober Buddy Challenge. And every day they do this thing, like they say, they give you a challenge and they say, do you accept this challenge? Like
like in the app. Oh, yeah. That's so cool.
And their challenge was It's a really pretty easy challenge. It was to go and buy a stranger a cup of coffee, and I did it, and I had Erin Khar do it as well. So why don't you tell your experience with the Sober Buddy coffee challenge?
So after I took Franklin to school this morning, I went into Madman Espresso, which is like my little local coffee place that I like. And there were 2 people in there, and I actually had already had coffee, so I didn't get any coffee for myself. And I said, hey, I went up to the counter. I said, I want to buy coffee for these 2 people.
Wow, 2 people.
Yeah. And they were like, okay. And the people were like, thanks. You know, I mean, it wasn't like, it was very easy, and like it made their day, and it made me feel good. And then I told them to like give it, like, since I was buying their coffee, to make sure they tipped an extra tip to the barista.
Nice. I went into this deli in Bayport, or as they say, Bayport. And it was called the Firehouse Deli in Bayport. And I often go there before the meeting. And I had seen this, actually, I had seen the challenge the day before.
Right.
And my intention was to make a whole thing about it and record me buying somebody a cup of coffee, telling them about Sober Buddy, telling them about Dopey, like having a little piece of audio recorded. But I figure the magic is ruined.
It's ruined then. You know what? Because I think the whole point of doing things like that is to do them, just to do them.
Right.
With no explanation.
The idea is to be altruistic and spread a little love and generosity. So I go in there, and I'm tired, and it's empty, and I get a cup of coffee, and I've been using the vanilla French creamer.
Oh, well, that's not part of the Dopey Fitness challenge.
No, there's no cholesterol in there.
I know.
There's sugar.
It's the sugar.
We got to get the sugar, sugar free, and the fucking hot fudge is not good for them. No. And I also we went to Old Navy Boston Market over the weekend, and we ordered some chicken, and they gave us meatloaf, and that's everything in Boston Market is delicious, yet definitely not part of the Dopey.
I haven't had Boston Market in maybe since the 90s.
Boston Market was on 23rd Street. I was on the corner of 23rd Street between 7th and 8th. And it was my favorite meal. And I also had a dealer in the neighborhood a very short amount of time. It was this very old Puerto Rican man who was really skinny, and he called himself Chino, and he looked like a throwback heroin dealer. He would wear the trench coat, and he was really thin, and his heroin was so bad that he'd give you some. He'd give you extra because the dope was so bad. But I would meet him outside of Boston Market, and I loved that. And I'd buy myself the quarter dark chicken special. And I loved it. And Boston Market, I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. I think they might make the best chocolate chip cookies out there.
Really?
Incredible. Although we went to the mall yesterday and we went to the Toll House store. Sick chocolate chip cookies.
Do you remember Mrs. Fields?
I do.
Yeah.
And David's Cookies. But I think Boston Market dominates. I didn't think Mrs. Fields was that great.
It was years ago that I had a Mrs. Fields cookie, but I was just remembering there was that thing where the recipe was secret and somebody paid a lot for the recipe and then circulated it. I think that was an urban myth.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Now, so I went into the Firehouse Deli and I got myself my small coffee with the French dairy creamer.
Yes.
French vanilla creamer. And this guy walks in, and the guy behind the counter is like, "Hey, Seth, you want your paper today?" or whatever he says.
Right.
And I said, "I'm buying his coffee."
Do you say it with the extra accent?
I don't think I did. But and then the guy goes, "Wow." He goes, "You want extra napkins or anything with that?" And I was like, "Yeah. Give me I'm feeling a little stuffy. Give me some extra napkins." And Seth is like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yes, Seth, I'm sure." I'm like, "Have a great day."
It's a nice thing to do.
And he's like, "Thanks." And I left there feeling like the king of the universe. And I've never done that before.
It's kind of a nice thing to do. I feel like I did this once years ago where I was in a drive-through and I paid for the people behind me. And I don't remember why I did it. But that's kind of a nice thing to do. You could just go up and pay for the next, say I want to pay for the next person in line.
Right. People at Katz's used to do that, right?
Really? That's nice, yeah.
What they would do is, let's say I'm sitting at a table and they would have an interaction. He'd be like, "I want to pay for their meal." I'd be like, "No, you don't." I'd be like, just take it easy. Just take it easy, Robin Hood. You don't need to pay for their meal. Like, who are you trying to impress?
Do you want to hear a really nice story?
Yes.
So on my anniversary, or my wedding anniversary, Seth and I went to this restaurant in our neighborhood, and we had like, you know, whatever, had this great meal, blah, blah, blah. They like, when we got there, they had champ or Prosecco for us. It's this Italian restaurant. And then some like special appetizer from the chef and blah, blah, blah. And then like dessert, like all this extra stuff we didn't order. And they knew it was our anniversary. And then when we went to pay, my mother-in-law and father-in-law had called because they knew where we were going for our anniversary dinner and paid for the whole thing ahead of time.
Very nice.
I thought that was it was such a like unexpected, nice surprise.
You know, my mother-in-law would never do that.
No.
In fact, the other day, right, I come home on a Tuesday and she has Susan and I have Nora, and I knew that she was trapped with Susan, and I called her and I was like, do you want me to go get Susan? She goes, no, Dave, we're going to eat dinner now. And I said, okay. And she goes, tell Nora I can make her a plate, but you're on your own.
Really?
Yeah, it's fucked up.
That's funny.
She used to take food out of our kitchen. Like this is a classic Dopey story. When Linda had Susan, I had made a bunch of chicken cutlets and put them in the fridge, and she came over and she took them.
For herself?
Yeah. And I had bought a special cookie, and she took that too. And I came home from the hospital to eat the cookie and the chicken cutlets, and she had taken them.
That's amazing.
I know. She's like, she's not your Jewish mother-in-law. All right. Well, we have Mackenzie Phillips back on the show. So let's play Mackenzie.
Okay.
But Dopey Nation, if you want to feel like $1 million, maybe you should buy somebody a cup of coffee. And say you did it for Dopey.
Yes.
Or Sober Buddy.
Or both.
And check out the Sober Buddy app, because we're going to be doing challenges here and there. The coffee challenge, I really liked it.
We should roll it into Patreon somehow, which, as a reminder, if you're not on the Dopey Patreon, why not?
Yeah, fucking go on Patreon. There's a ton of shit on there. There's a lot of videos of Ask Erin that people are big fans of. A lot of weirdos out there that love to watch Erin. And then also subscribe to Dopey YouTube.
Yes.
Buy Dopey merch, where, as you guys probably know, we are in a deep partnership with a company called SRO Prints out of Cincinnati. They're a bunch of junkies in recovery. They make our merchandise. Go to dopeypodcast.com, buy some Dopey merch, let your freak flag fly, put a picture up, you know.
Don't forget to send in some Ask Erin questions.
Ask Erin questions, voicemails, emails, and we have the candles. Do you want candles? Do you want Dopey candles?
I'll have a candle, yeah.
We're in a great partnership with a candle company called North Avenue Candles. They make really high quality candles, and I really mean that. And they make Dopey candles. You go to northavcandles.com/collections/Dopey. All right. And we had the honor and privilege of having the great Mackenzie Phillips back on the show. So here we go.
It's a white donut with frosting and sprinkles on it.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah. On Fridays, there are usually treats here.
Oh.
And I'm really bad. I can't control myself when there are sweets.
I'm horrible.
I think it's because of our heroin past.
Yeah, I just got the news that I have very high cholesterol. I was sure I had diabetes, like the way I eat sweets. But my family has high cholesterol, and high cholesterol comes with red meat, fried foods, or baked goods. So
really?
I have high cholesterol.
Do you eat a lot of red meat?
No, I don't. And I don't eat a lot of fried food either. I eat a lot of baked goods.
You eat a lot of baked goods?
Yes, I do. I don't eat donuts, though. I had an encounter with donuts in college, tripping mushrooms, and I was just like, like if you're tripping and you eat something, it's like that crazy aversion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm off. I haven't had a baked good since I got the diagnosis, which is big for me, because I eat like I'm doing drugs at night. Like I eat sweets. It's bad.
Do you have a cabinet full of baked goods in your house?
Cookies. I'm a cookie freak. and I have 2 kids, so I like cake and ice cream and all that stuff. So
Yeah. I just don't keep that stuff in my house.
well, I've got 2 little kids. I've got a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old. So like,
Do they need cookies and cake?
that's an interesting question. Do kids need cookie and cake?
Yeah.
Do they?
Like I don't know. I mean, do they need to have it in the house, or does it need to be like, oh, let's go out and get some cookies for a special occasion?
See,
then keep like a box of Lucky Charms in the house for fun.
I mean, I think that's where we're going. We're going that way.
Yeah.
And but hello and welcome to Dopey, the podcast on drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. And it's
and sugar addiction, because I'm totally addicted to sugar, but I don't keep it in the house. Like, let me tell you this. So like, if I'm craving something sweet, I have this recipe for peanut butter cookies, and I keep like the ingredients for it in the house. It's sugar, peanut butter, and eggs. And if I'm really desperate, I'll go downstairs and make a batch of these fucking cookies.
The whole recipe is just sugar, peanut butter, and egg. No flour?
No. Nope. And like, I have to put in the effort to make the cookies. If I really want something like that, I have to go downstairs and bake.
I love that.
Because if I keep this stuff in the house, I will eat it all. I'll just eat it all. I have no ability to regulate with sugar. I think it's because I'm a fucking junkie.
No, I'm the same way, and I think it trips the same switch that opiates switch.
Yep.
So let me ask you a really stupid question, because I met you in person. It was one of the. I didn't even introduce you. Our guest is the one and only Dopey legend. Famous TV, film, music, and now recovery, and of course addiction. Mackenzie Phillips, welcome back to the show.
Hello, Dopey. Hello, everybody.
Like,
Nice to be back.
It is so nice to have you back. And what I was going to say is I got to meet you in person when I went to Los Angeles, and you look great. You don't seem to have a sugar, like the sugar doesn't seem to be an unmanageable situation.
Well, what you're saying is I'm not overweight? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. I'm glad you read between the lines so deftly. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Thank you for that. That's because I don't keep that stuff in my house. Look, if I had it in my house, I'd weigh 300 pounds because I cannot regulate that shit.
You don't think you could do the same thing that you do with drugs with that?
I don't think I would want to because I love it so much. Well, I mean, exactly. Like if I had a house full of dope, do you think I could? I would have to because otherwise I would die. I would die. So, yeah.
I get your point. We don't keep heroin in the house. We don't keep fentanyl in the house or Oxycontins. We don't, that's never a thing.
Like I'm sitting here staring at this half a donut thinking, should I put the phone on mute while he's talking so I could eat some more of this donut? Like I'm crazy.
I'm exactly the
and
same
I'm
way.
sitting in my office at the rehab that I work at. Oh, God. I'm on a sugar high, too, right now because I ate a half a donut just before I started talking to you.
Wow, that's the best. I mean, I think it's the best to indulge your sugar addiction in rehab. I think that's the place to do it. And you've been through a lot since we spoke last, and I'm so thrilled that we can have you back on to do a check-in, to see what's going on. I have lots more questions, too, but why don't you tell the Dopey Nation what you just went through?
Okay. On January 19th, I had total knee replacement surgery because I'm old.
Both of them?
And I have No, just one.
Okay, good. That'd be scary.
No, I just had one knee. I couldn't imagine what it would be like having them both done at the same time. That would be insane because it's 3 months later and I'm still limping around and experiencing swelling and pain, and it's like that's a big deal. I think I was kind of naive about what the recovery would be like because it's a lot. It's a lot. And Dopey Nation, hello everybody. There are pain medications involved in recovery from knee replacement surgery. Don't everybody run out and get one just because there's a relapse involved.
Break it down though. As somebody who has this ridiculous penchant for opiates and sugar as I do, because knee replacement sounds scary to me, and getting pain medication sounds scary to me, but it also sounds exciting. So walk us through that whole process.
You know, the thing is, they cut your bones. Like they use I guess like a special kind of saw, and they cut your tibia. I think that's what it's called. And they put like a titanium, I don't know, joint in there. You know, they cut your muscles and your nerves, and they reattach everything once they remove the screwed up part of your knee that's causing so much pain. Like, let me just say this. Before knee replacement surgery, I wasn't one of those people with a really bad knee that took opioids to deal with the pain. I didn't do that because I know that would spell death to me. So a lot of people with a really bad knee, some of my family members included, who also have a substance use disorder, took a lot of opioids to deal with the pain of having a bad knee. I did not. So I did everything like, you know, cortisone injections, physical therapy, all that kind of stuff to try and not have knee replacement surgery. But after a while, those things either work or they stop working, and that's what happened with me. So, you know, I finally had another MRI, and they were like, you know what, you have to have your knee replaced. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And they're like, sorry, it's time. You know, I'm 62 years old, right?
Yeah.
So...
I've been hearing so many things. I have so many friends who are having issues with their knees. My dad just had orthoscopic surgery on his knee, so it wasn't full knee replacement. There's a guy at my meeting who just had one knee replaced. The other one's getting replaced. My friend Ray has knee problems. So, like, it's like that's life, right? Life brings wear and tear. Like, and you know, it's like that's the deal. We are these weird biomechanical creatures, and the biomechanical nature of our bodies has to decline. So like basically they were like, either we replace it or you have pain.
Right. And like, you know, I can't tell you how long I've been dealing with, I used to say to people, how often do you think about the fact that you have knees? And they're like, never. I'm like, I think about it every day. You know, and this is going back 15 years. So it's been a long time coming.
So when you get out of the surgery, what kind of medication are they giving you, and what's the first experience on it?
So here's the deal. The awesome anesthesiologist, she was so funny. She was like, you know, I'm like, okay, so I'm waking up from the surgery, and she's there, and she's pushing Dilaudid, right? Because I'm waking up from the surgery. And she's like, how are you still awake? How are you still awake? And I'm like, it hurts so much. And she's like, are you serious? You can feel something? And she's pushing more. And she's like, I have never had anyone be able to tolerate this much Dilaudid. And I'm thinking, oh, my God. You know, this is, you know.
You're like, you obviously never read my book or heard me on Dopey.
Exactly. So that was the thing. And then, you know, then she's like, what did they prescribe you at home? And I told her, and she's like, that's not going to be enough. If you're still talking to me after the amount of medication that you've had and you're still awake and you're like cognizant, what they have sent you home with isn't going to be enough. So she changed that. And, you know, the thing is that they send you home on the day of the surgery. It's now knee replacement in most cases is outpatient surgery, unless you have some comorbidities that cause you to, you know, need to remain in the hospital. So my son comes to pick me up, and my son, you know, is not an addict. He is the kind of guy who buys, he's 35, he's the kind of guy who buys a 12-pack and 2 weeks later there's 9 left. He's a good kid. He's that kind.
He's a good kid.
He's a good kid.
Yes.
He's a good kid. You know, he's a trimmer in a grow house. He's the kind of guy who smokes weed and has a couple beers. He's like a normal guy. So he's the keeper of the meds. Obviously, you need someone to hold on to your medications. So we get home, and I'm like, they told me to take the meds as soon as I get home. He goes, are you in pain? And I said, no, I'm not. But and he said, okay, we're going to follow this to the T. So he gives me the meds, and he's like, okay, in 6 hours you can have the next dose of medication. So like, he was just great. He's so boundaried, so he would come into the room and he's, making me do my exercises and helping me do my exercises. He'd come in like literally 6 hours later on the nose with the next dose of the medication.
Awesome.
He would come in at midnight with the medication. Then he'd come in at 6 a.m. with the medication. And he was just amazing. But, and at first I was like, oh, God, opiates are so gross. This is so gross. I hate this. It's disgusting. But
wait, hold on. What was disgusting?
Okay. Because I felt nauseous, and it was like, I just, it was gross. I didn't like it.
It didn't. So when you first took a Dilaudid, it didn't activate.
No,
that
I
place.
didn't go home. I didn't go home on Dilaudid.
In the hospital, though, like I haven't had an.
They were pushing Dilaudid through my IV.
And how did it feel in the hospital?
It was awesome in the hospital.
Okay, that's what I want. That's what I needed to hear. Now, what did they send you home with?
That was awesome.
Okay.
10 milligram oxycodone.
Okay. And what did you have any of that? Like, I wish I was still on the Dilaudid. Did any of that classic sort of opiate addict shit pop up in your head? Just out of curiosity, for all the junkies out there listening who are craving knee replacement.
It didn't. I didn't think. I didn't think. Oh God, I wish I had IV Dilaudid. I didn't think that. Because at first I was so grossed out by the way the oxycodone made me feel. But I have to say that the longer you're taking the opiate, the less gross it becomes.
You're more used to it.
Yes, and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Right.
And then the longer you're taking it, you're like, oh, this is pretty fucking good.
Okay. So that's when it gets, does it activate the fear of like, fuck, I'm fucking up? Do you have any feeling like, because you.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like, I like this too much.
Right.
I like this too much. And but I had Shane, who was so boundaried with the medication and kept it in his room that there's no way that I could overuse it. And I had to deal with my own thought process and talk to my people like, oh my God, I really like this. Like at first I was talking to my people going, this is disgusting.
Right.
This is so gross. I hate this so much. And then like a week later I was like, oh my God, why do I like this? A week ago I thought it was gross, and now I like it.
It's so interesting.
But I still had to take it because it was so painful, because I was in pain. But then I'm like, am I really in pain, or am I creating pain because I love opiates? You get into that place.
But you're like one of the most major league drug addicts that I've ever encountered, and that's a compliment. And obviously, that if like when the switch gets turned on in the past, you've figured out ways to get drugs to you, even when you're not supposed to, even when Shane has the dose, where you could get more. Did any of those ways and means show up anywhere? And if they did, how did you deal with them?
They did not at all.
Right on. And why not?
They did not.
Tell me why not.
Like, because I have my life is so good. I've come so far.
Yes.
I am valued. I am counted on by so many people. I have so much to lose. I have so much to give. And if I go back down the rabbit hole, I lose everything I've worked so hard for.
I understand. It's like, I totally understand. How long did you stay on the oxycodone?
I went from every 6 hours to only taking 5 milligrams an hour before physical therapy, which was twice a week. And that has been over for weeks. Now, I was thinking this morning, because I still have a lot of pain, but I have to, in my mind, I have to understand the difference between pain and discomfort, right?
Break it down. What's the
Like
difference between pain and discomfort?
Well, it's different for everybody. I have to realize that I have to understand that what I perceive as pain could actually, I have to understand, I have to decide that it's not pain, that it's just discomfort.
Totally.
Because I can make discomfort into pain easily.
Yes.
Because because I'm an addict.
Yes.
I can say no, because I can, like, you can get used to hanging upside down if you hang long enough.
Mm-hmm.
You can make discomfort into pain I can do that easily in order to justify dropping a dime, which is the old payphone analogy, to make a call to, I could walk into an ER and show this scar, or an urgent care, the scar on my knee easily. But do I do that? No. Do I consider it in my crazed addict mind? For a second, would I do it? No, I can't.
Right, and that's awesome.
I mean, wait. I can.
Exactly. We could
Will
do whatever.
I?
We could do.
I won't.
Right. We could do whatever we want. You know what I mean? Like even at a
Right.
meeting when someone's like, "I can't do this," and it's like the truth is, we can do whatever we want. It's about not wanting to lose everything you've gained, and also just like your life is obviously so rich and joyful, and like I think this has been a huge episode really in your recovery because you're right at the fucking gate. You know what I mean? And you see the monster and you're like, no thanks, I'm gonna stay here. And
like it says in the book, the book, we're at the jumping off point.
Right.
You find yourself at the jumping off point. What are you going to do? Because we're back in that place where we have the gift of choice, right?
Totally.
I have the gift of choice. I can choose, and I don't want to sound corny, but I fucking choose life.
I don't think it sounds corny. I think after you've been through what you've been through, and I feel the same way. After I've been through what I've been through, I have to say that when I hear about somebody that gets a prescription for Dilaudid, I'm intrigued. I'm kind of intrigued just at like, it's kind of like a high school reunion in my mind. Like I'm going to feel something that I haven't felt in so long. And
Right.
the nostalgia of it, the comfort, like that was my favorite thing. Wouldn't it be so nice to have my favorite thing again? See my old best friend sort of thing. It's.
And I can, yeah. And I can understand after the last two or so years, like in 2020, I had emergency surgery and I had to be at the height of the pandemic, I had to be in the hospital for 6 days on IV morphine and then I had to have this crazy dental surgery, and then I had to have this knee replacement. This is all since 2020.
Right.
So I've had this sort of influx of pain meds, and it makes me understand how people like you and me and people like the people listening get this idea of, wow, I could create these scenarios where I need surgery, whether it be elective surgeries or throwing yourself down the stairs,
Sure.
or whatever it is, in order to justify these, and I'm going to make air quotes here, relapses, so that you don't bear the weight of going out, right? But you have these creating these instances where you have to get surgery so that you can have these pain meds, right? I can understand why people do that now.
Right. Let me ask you
because
this.
people do that. People do that.
Right, because the free lapse obviously isn't free, but once someone says, take this Dilaudid every 5 hours, it's like, okay, he told me to. I didn't go to my spot. This guy told me to take it.
Exactly. And then, if one is good, two is better.
Right. Are you kidding me? The last time I got a prescription, I wasn't in recovery. I was kind of like dry, and I had to get some work done on my teeth. And my dentist even knew that I was a drug addict. And she gave me like a prescription for like 10 Vicodin or something. And I hadn't done an opiate in a long time. And I took one and I was like, I feel this a little. And then I just took the other. I took like 3 and then another 3. And I was like, God damn. Like I just wanted that feeling. And I didn't work a program of recovery at that point. And when I hear you talk about it too, because you are the referral director and part owner of Breathe Life, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, Breathe Life Healing Center in West Hollywood.
And it's a beautiful place that I actually got to meet you in, which was really it's very cool for a junkie to walk into a rehab and not have to stay there. You know what I mean? It's like the greatest feeling, you know,
It is awesome, right?
But
like I have my car keys. Like it's like I can leave.
I know, it's incredible. Or to go speak at Detox, and then you're like, okay, gotta go. It's like the greatest thing ever. But I mean, how much, you know, you like we don't need to recount your whole story. You started at a super young age. You were, you know, totally addicted to drugs, you know, early on, and then you relapsed and used a ton of drugs and learned about addiction, relapse, recovery in the throes of it. And now you're working to help people get better, and you can talk about it, you know, in this clinical way that's informed by your personal experience. How long did you get comfortable? How long did it take to get comfortable in that role?
Oh man, you know, I got to tell you, I started going to treatment when I was 18, and I've been to treatment 11 times. And I've always been fascinated by behavior, like what makes people do the things they do. Like, you know, my dad was a big rock star, and I remember sitting there, you know, when I was like a little kid, like watching my dad party with the Beatles and the Stones, and, you know, like there were big bowls of cocaine on the table. And I'm like 5, 6 years old, and I'm thinking, what makes them think it's okay to do this stuff around me? I'm just a little girl, you know, and always thinking about what drives behavior, right? So from a very young age, I was always fascinated by, I guess, the science of the mind. And so every time I went to treatment, I thought, I want to do what I want to do what they're doing.
Right.
But my addiction the monster kept waking up. The monster kept waking up over and over again, and I didn't know how to keep the monster at bay. But once I finally was able to keep the monster at bay, and I thought, okay, now I can get on the other side of the desk and start. And I went back to school, you know, and I thought, well, you know, I know this is going to confuse people because I've been an actress or you know, on stage or writing books my whole life, but I am going to change careers. And it did. It confused people. People were like, you're doing this for a reality show. You're not really working full-time in a treatment center. I'm like, yes, I am. And that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years. And I've always been comfortable doing this. At first, I was like, people aren't going to take me seriously, but people do and did. And I love it. I mean, and you know, working at Breathe, it's, you know, they know that it's good for them if I go and do Orange is the New Black, or if I go on a book tour, or if I, you know, do different things. So I have a lot of freedom to come and go, and yet I always have a home here at Breathe. So
right,
it's great.
And it's good for you too. You get to stay being an artist, and you get to help people, and you get to explore those behaviors of the mind that intrigue you. So it's a real win-win-win. When did you start going back? Like, when were you okay to drive?
You know, this is my 4th day back.
Okay. How do you feel?
You know, it's hard. It's hard. Like, it's really hard. It takes me a long time to get out of the house in the morning. I'm still going to physical therapy twice a week. My knee is still barking at me. You know, the thing is, it still feels like it's not part of me. It feels alien. You I lived on the first floor of my house for the first 2 months. I moved into the guest room because my bedroom is upstairs.
Right.
So going up and down the stairs is
Horrible.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible, and physical therapy is brutal, and I have to do all these exercises at home. I got myself an exercise bike, so I ride that, for 30 minutes a day. Sleeping is very uncomfortable. It's fucked. This sucks. If I had to do my other knee, which I eventually will have to do it, I'm like, fuck that. I don't want to do this again.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to do this again. And then my addict mind goes, yeah, but.
Right. Exactly.
And then I'm like, ew, why do I think that way?
Right.
Why do I still think that way after all these years? It's a lot being us.
You know what's really fucked up? It's like I haven't smoked cigarettes in years. Do you smoke?
I always want to smoke.
Yeah.
I smoked for 42 years.
Right. I like at my meetings on the beach, there's smokers, who smoke like three, 4 cigarettes during the meeting. And when I see them smoke, I go right next to them so that I can like pretend that I'm smoking. When I hear your story, it's like, how can you take Dilaudid or Oxys and not smoke cigarettes? In my mind, it's like, if I did it, I think I'd have to start smoking again just to like have the opiate nicotine at the same time. That's fucked up.
I know.
Oh
what is this thing, this peculiar twist that we all carry? I mean, and yet we are the smartest, the hardest working, the best friends. We will run towards danger to help someone out of the fire. And yet we have this peculiar twist. But if you get us sober, we get ourselves sober, we're the fucking best.
Wow.
But we still carry these little echoes, these
quirks,
of
personality quirks
Yep.
of junkiedom. What I want to ask you.
We're quirkalicious. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask, when you're a kid, right, and you're growing up in rock star, the maximum rock starness. Like the first thing I wanted to ask was about Beatles and Bob Dylan, but we're going to put that off. We're going to put that in the background. Just talking about like the music scene, drugs, coming up with all those young groupie scene, again, drugs. And you talked about going to rehab treatment at 18, and now you're working in treatment. How similar are the experiences of the young people coming in to treatment compared to when you were a kid? Like, is it comparable? Is it the same thing, or is it totally different?
Well, I mean, compared to what I
just the scene,
with?
just like there was an idea around rock and roll in the late 60s, early 70s that probably played out into the mid 80s or something, or maybe even 90s. This rock and roll junkie, this sex, drugs, and rock. It's different, right?
It's different. It's different. Everything is different. I mean, there's an underlying theme, certainly, but and plus which, like when I went to treatment back in those days, they weren't focusing on adverse early childhood experiences or trauma. And what we deal with at Breathe is we're not just saying don't drink and go to meetings. We're not just saying stop using. We're working on the underlying issues. Like we're working on the underlying issues that cause people to
start using
oblivion.
Right.
Yeah, we're not saying you got to get an attitude of gratitude. That's the kind of stuff that I was treated with so many times over and over again. We're not just giving lectures on, the 12 steps and the 12 traditions. We're which is great. I mean, we're working with people who have the need for internal family systems work. We're working with families to help heal the family and the person who has the substance use disorder. So it's a very different type of treatment than I was ever exposed to.
And in terms of the drugs, like how often do you deal with the clients, and like how many fentanyl addicts are you meeting, and how many of them talk about fentanyl specifically?
Well, we see that a lot, but mostly we're dealing with a lot of meth.
Really?
We see a lot of meth, a lot of gay men with meth and sex addiction.
Right.
We see that a lot. A lot of opiates, a lot of alcohol too.
Right. And the commonality between then and now is seeking oblivion, dealing with those early childhood things, dealing with trauma, dealing with, being the greatest, cliche of being uncomfortable in your own skin. That's the whole deal. And then finding yourself actually addicted to something. When you were on Dopey the last time and the first time, the feedback was off the charts. Like it was like a coming home party for Mackenzie Phillips. So like to meet you and to have you on again is like ridiculously gratifying to me, and to have a relationship with you, to have like the beginnings of a friendship with you, even though I keep fucking everything up.
You're the best though.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's incredibly gratifying. And when we got off the phone after the first session, I was like, I forgot to ask you. Can I ask you some questions of things I forgot to ask you the first time?
Yes, of course.
Okay. The first thing was reading about you and Valerie Bertinelli and Eddie Van Halen in Manhattan, and like you guys doing coke without Valerie Bertinelli knowing it, or something along those lines. Was there I remember there was a great Eddie Van Halen cocaine story.
Well, it was Quaaludes too.
Okay.
So we were at my Val and Ed came. They were in New York. God, there's so many great Val and Ed stories. But Val and Ed came to my apartment in Gramercy Park on Irving Place, and we were in the elevator, I think, going up to my apartment, and Valerie was talking to my boyfriend, Shane Fontaine, and Ed and I were talking, and Ed leaned over, and a bunch of lewds fell out of his pocket, and he was like, oh my God. And he leaned over and picked him up, and he was like, God, don't tell Val. And I was like, I won't tell Val. And I held my hand out.
Right. Pay the toll.
And pay the piper. And he just didn't want Val to know. And that was because he didn't, obviously Valerie, but Valerie, see, here's the deal. Val never got caught. Val and I would do lines in my dressing room at one day at a time, but she never got caught. I wasn't, I was like so out of control that everyone was like, what is wrong with Mac? And all the attention was on me. But, Val and I would get high, but she just never, she was so all-American and also not an addict.
Right.
So she just never got caught. So that's that story.
How hard, so it was mostly Quaaludes with Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, I mean, Ed, I don't even remember at this point. There was so much going on. I remember once we were in Atlantic City, and I was performing with the Mamas and the Papas at Claridge's, I think. And Val and Ed came to the show, and then afterwards we went gambling. And, I didn't have a lot of money at that time, and I'm going to call him my husband because we were just as good as married, Shane and Val and Ed and I went gambling, and, we had like $5 chips, and Ed gave us a bunch of black chips, $500 chips. And we were like, what? And we just wanted to keep them. We didn't want to gamble with them because it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, gamble with them. And we started winning, and he just let us keep the winnings. And it was like $5,000. It was so awesome. He was the greatest guy. He was the sweetest man with the most intense substance use disorder. And the last time I saw Ed was when Valerie married Tom. And he was at the wedding. And he was just so sweet, just a lovely guy. And he was clean at that time.
Right. He had the most like what you call it? Like his smile was catchy. You know what I mean? You saw his smile
yeah.
and you had to smile too because he had that sense. Obviously, I never met him, and I wasn't the biggest Van Halen fan, but I was a fan of his. You know what I mean? Because he was just, his talent was so crazy, and his like his ability to enjoy it. You could just see it on him when he played.
How about how amazing Wolfie is doing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is so cool. That's the coolest thing ever.
But it must.
Hey, I'm getting ready to do Valerie's cooking show again.
What's that going to be?
She has a cooking show on Food Network. Valerie's Home Cooking, I think it's called.
What are you going to cook with her?
I've been on it. I don't know. I'm a vegetarian, so I've been on it like 3 or 4 times. Where I go over there and we cook together and we talk, and it's actually going to be fun. So I'm going to do that soon.
That's awesome. And
it's so fun.
I'm always hunting down Bob Dylan stories. I know that you're in this weird world where all these people were at your dad's. Did you ever encounter Bob Dylan in your travels?
I encountered Bob Dylan at my dad's. What was it? It was at my dad's 40th birthday party. It was at On the Rocks, which is a club above the Roxy. And my dad's party had a theme. It was Welcome to the North 40.
Okay.
And Bob was wearing like black eyeliner, and he was wearing like a black cape with a pointed hood. You know, like a you know those weird.
Yes.
Sort of, they're almost. Yes. Okay.
Like a Satanist kind of cape.
Yes, but he's not a Satanist.
Like an Anton
LaVey.
An Anton LaVey kind of cape.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And he was just sort of standing in a corner, and I just needed to be near Bob Dylan, so I just went over there and how old was I when my dad was 40? I have no idea. I was like maybe 17 or something like that. I have no idea how old I was. And I just remember going over and standing next to him, and I didn't say anything. I just kind of stood there, and I remember his eyes sort of darting over to me, and just standing there and just looking at him, and he was just looking at me, and I'm just looking at him, and I just walked away. I just needed to be near Bob Dylan for a minute. That's my only Bob Dylan story.
I'm totally enraptured with him for some reason. I want to know.
He's a genius.
I obviously he's a genius. I want to know like what he does when he visits his like grandkids, or like he's staying at like he's looking in the fridge or something. That's the Bob Dylan I want to find out about.
I bet he's just a normal dude. I was at the Music Cares thing where they honored Bob Dylan. It was so cool. And he just got up there and spoke for like 45 minutes, just talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked for like 45. I can't remember a word he said, but I was enraptured with everything he said.
Right. Amazing.
I don't know what he said. I couldn't understand half of what he said, but it was fascinating.
And you've been in contact and back and forth with like kind of some of the greatest, talents, I want to say geniuses of art, these kinds of people. And then Norman Lear, like what was it to work with? Norman Lear's always been one of my heroes. Like I always wanted to do what he did. And I grew up, entertained by his creations. Like that was like my formative coming up. And you were friendly with him. What is he like?
Norman is one of the most interesting human beings in the world, and I love him. Norman, oh God, I don't even know what to say about Norman Lear. I love him so much, and working with Norman throughout my entire teenage years was one of the greatest gifts of my whole life. And then when Norman reimagined One Day at a Time on Netflix with Rita Moreno and Justina Machado and hired me as a recurring guest star on the new One Day at a Time, and I got to work with him all over again for 4 seasons, was an absolute, it was absolutely incredible to sit with Norman and work with Norman, and he is in his 90s, and to
He
be
seems
with him
so
again
healthy
was,
still.
He's got a little hitch in his giddy up.
Okay.
He wears hearing aids, so he's, I'm like, hey there, Norman, how's it going?
Right. Right.
But he's incredible. And, I went up to Norman's house for lunch. This was probably 3 years ago. And he was tooling around on the golf cart. He's got this incredible estate in L.A., which he's been at for maybe 40 years. I mean, it's massive. This place is unbelievable. You could only hope to ever live in a house like that. I will never live in a house like that, but it's absolutely incredible. And he's running around that place on a golf cart, and they're like, oh, God, Norman's on the golf cart again. Can someone get Norman off the golf cart?
Right.
He's one of the loveliest human beings. His daughters, my character and Valerie's character on One Day at a Time were modeled after Norman's daughters, and they are lovely. He's incredible.
Love that.
He's a genius. He's got great vision. He's a good man.
No, he's one of my all-time favorites. I remember one other thing that I really wanted to talk to you about, and I don't think we got to talk about it last time you were on, which was when you play the interventionist on 90210 to help Dylan with his heroin addiction. And I would watch reruns, and I would shoot heroin watching it, and I would always root for Dylan to relapse because I was relapsing. And then you came on as the interventionist, and I knew your story backwards and forwards. You were sober in that period, right?
Yes, that was my first job back after getting sober the first time. And I auditioned and got that gig, and I was over the moon because I hadn't worked in years, and I was so happy to do that gig, and I thought it was so sort of weird to be playing an interventionist after, all that had happened. And then I found myself on the set of 90210, and it was so surreal because, the show was such a huge hit, and all those kids were so entitled, and they were fighting, and this one wouldn't come to the set until that one got there. Like the ADs were like, these kids, oh my God, this one won't come to the set until this one's already there because they're above the call sheet on that one. And then it was actually kind of laughable because none of that matters, and they were all, little prima donnas,
right? Yes.
And yeah, but it was very interesting to watch the dynamics between all of those young actors.
And I love to see they did a weird meth thing on that show, and they did, Dylan's heroin addiction was one of my favorite kind of soap opera heroin addictions that I ever got to see. So I enjoyed that. And I
have to tell you, Luke Perry was the most down-to-earth, kind actor of that entire cast.
Yeah, he was older than the rest of them, though, too, right?
Yeah, and he was lovely. I was heartbroken when he died. That was so awful.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I was too. I mean, I was a fan. Obviously, I didn't know him, but, and he was just so young, right? How did he die?
Yeah, I mean, stroke.
That's just terrible. That's just terrible.
Yeah, it's really fucking scary.
All right. Now, before we go, I have questions that are heartbreaking questions. So I don't want to ask heartbreaking questions. But I want a really fucked up drug story. So how do we get a really fucked up drug story without me asking heartbreaking questions?
You go ahead and ask the question.
Okay. What would you consider in your history of using, relapsing, and coming back? What was the worst relapse for you?
Oh, God. I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know because they all sort of, I don't even know because, let me think about this. Let me just say this. There was only one time where I was actually trying to even stay sober. I don't even think about, all the times that I went to treatment, I never went to treatment, hardly ever went to treatment thinking that I was even going to stay sober. I went to get y'all off my back.
Right.
so that I could lull y'all into a sense of complacency that I was actually going to do something which I had no intention of doing.
Right. So you could do what you wanted to do.
Exactly. So I don't know that I can even answer that question. I had been sober after I went to Alina Lodge for 10 years. And for me, the way that I look at it, like people always said, oh, well, if you ever relapse, you'll go from A to Z overnight and you'll have a needle in your arm within 24 hours. It never happened that way with me.
Right.
Like, it was always gradual. It was like chip a little away here, chip a little away there, chip a little away here. And then, it took forever for things to get hardcore again. It wasn't like, oh, I had a glass of wine and then the next morning I was out buying rigs. You know what I mean?
Sure. But did it always start with a glass of wine? Something innocuous at a party or something?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time focusing on
Sure.
what it started with, or I haven't even thought about any of that kind of thing in a long, long time. I mean, I can think of I don't even know how to answer that question.
That's okay. I mean, because I think that's valuable though, to get 10 years and to relapse is it's a valuable tool for someone else to hear about, like, what do you think went wrong at the end of the 10 years? Like, what was the thing that made it, that the relapse happened?
Right. I mean, I always think that for me, and this is interesting, that it was pain, like not making the distinction between discomfort and pain. I always, for me, there was a time where it was like, oh, I'm in so much pain. I have so much neck pain or back pain that I need pain medication. Pain. That's why I'm so very focused on, is it discomfort or is it pain? Pain meds are that has been my downfall. That's why I'm like, fuck no.
That's super deep. Isn't that really deep? That's exactly where we are right now. And you can call the discomfort for what it is, and which is amazing. Yeah. Like and I want to be able to do the same thing, because the fucked up thing for all of us, pain is inevitable. The check's in the fucking mail, no matter what.
That's right.
So
everybody out there, be careful with dental work. Be careful with surgeries. Be careful if you sprain your fucking ankle. Be careful if you break your finger, because pain is what will take you out. It'll take you out. You have to make a distinction. Is it discomfort or is it pain? Because your brain will tell you it's pain when it's really discomfort.
Right. And get prepared now. Like, I'm getting prepared right now. That's just right. Listening to you. You know what I mean? I'm serious. Right?
Like, I have arthritis in my neck, right? I could say, oh my God, it's so painful. But I want to stay alive. I want to keep my job. I want to keep the respect of my family and friends. I want to stay here with y'all. I have to. So I have to bear. I need ice. I need ibuprofen, and I need a fucking chiropractor. I don't need a prescription.
All right. Well, I think that is a great full circle ending to this Dopey talk, Mackenzie. I love that you did this and that we had you back on, and I'm going to bother you again. So just get ready.
Good. Keep bothering me, and I promise I won't ever be mean to you again.
No, you can be. Listen, are you kidding me? I personally believe that conflict fortifies relationships more than anything. I think we've been through something. You have a sense of how I am. This time I didn't even fuck up, though. You have to admit that. I didn't.
You didn't. You've been absolved.
Isn't that awesome? It's awesome.
It's Ethan's fault.
Yeah, I feel so good about that. But I really appreciate you coming on. If you ever need anything from us, you know where to find us. And thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I'll talk to you soon. Be good.
Awesome. So look at that. What was once a Dopey dream guest is now becoming a Dopey regular guest.
I know. That's exciting.
That is growth.
It is.
That's growth for Dopey, for that old Dopey magic. And I had tried to get Mackenzie on for so long. She never really acknowledged how many Instagram messages I've sent her over the years, which is probably a nice thing of her to do.
Yeah.
And so you're the great Dopey interview analyzer. You're the great color commentator.
Note-taker.
Yeah. So like, what did you take? I mean, I'm incredibly pleased to have this kind of new relationship with Mackenzie and to have her participate in the show, not only to be somebody that gives like the highlights of their storied Dopey career and actual career, but to be an addict in recovery and how they live with it. And I thought that was really cool how she came with, just the casual life shit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that struck me the most was that I think it's something that you probably haven't talked a lot about in Dopey interviews is that like how you deal with like surgery and pain when you're in recovery. And I think that that's super important. Something that she said that really struck me was like, as an addict in recovery, learning to discern the difference between discomfort and pain, because as addicts, our brains can be like, oh, you're in pain, when it's really discomfort that doesn't require an opiate to solve the pain.
Right. And I used to have no boundary between pain and discomfort or withdrawal. Even the slightest feeling, and I was like, I need it.
Right.
Whatever it was, discomfort was enough pain for me. No matter what.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that certainly early on that was true for me, but I've had surgery in recovery, and I've had, I was on a morphine drip. I had half of my thyroid taken out in 2008 because I had a tumor on my thyroid, and I was on a morphine drip for 2 days, and then they were going to send me home with I don't know, Vicodin or oxycodone. I don't remember what, but I couldn't swallow.
I think Vicodin is oxycodone.
It is?
No, Vicodin's
it's
hydrocodone. Right.
So I asked for like if they could give me something liquid, so they just gave me like codeine cough syrup, and I took it the first day and it didn't really do anything, and I just was I have a fear of, not because I think I'm going to start using, I have a fear of having that feeling, that like slight withdrawal feeling after taking an opiate for a few days, even if you're taking it post-surgery. So I tend to not take it for very long. And it's like after like dental surgery and different things, I don't think I've ever finished a prescription because I'm more afraid of like, truthfully, A, being constipated, and B, like feeling any sort of withdrawal, that I'd rather just like take ibuprofen or Tylenol and kind of like work through it. That said, if you've had major surgery and you have like some major injury where you're in real pain, it's better to take the pain medication and get ahead of the pain rather than be chasing the pain. So it's a tricky thing. And I think as addicts in recovery, we need to make sure that like our doctors are aware and that the people who are close to us are aware, so that we have like sort of those fail safes there. But I was glad that you talked about that with her.
It's funny, like when I had my foot issue, and we don't know if that was tendinitis or gout.
I think it was tendinitis.
Let's hope so, because it sounds like the Dopey Fitness Challenge has no room for gout in it. But I have never had organ meat since then. My shrimp consumption has been very much curtailed. And I mean, like, I haven't been eating red meat, butter, like I'm scared of all that shit. But I was in I think it was pain. It was somewhere where discomfort and pain kind of came together. And I didn't tell that doctor that I was a drug addict or of my incredibly successful and popular podcast. But she still didn't fucking prescribe me anything.
Well, I think for people who are in chronic and in pain, like I think unfortunate part of like all of the fallout from like suing pharmaceutical companies and doctors and pharmacies is that there is a reluctance on healthcare providers to provide pain medicine when people are in pain and need pain medication. And that pisses me off because I don't think anyone someone shouldn't be denied pain medication because I had an addiction or anybody else had an addiction. But it's funny. It probably also depends who you are. Certainly, I think people of color are offered pain medication far less. And it probably depends on the hospital you're in. When I had Franklin, I mean, he was premature, so he was in the ICU, but I didn't have a complicated delivery. When I say that they offered me like pain meds, like every time they came into my room, it was unreal. It became like a joke between my husband and I because I was like, why are they like, I mean, yeah, like you're in discomfort, but I didn't have a C-section. I didn't need pain medication. And they really were pushing it so hard. And then I thought, I wonder if they were pushing pain medication because I had a kid in the NICU and they thought like I was in distress. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Nobody pushed nearly enough pain medication on me. I'm serious. Like my foot thing really hurt. Like I could have gone for a little as prescribed.
Did you do ibuprofen and heat and ice and all that shit?
But I could have used a little as prescribed fucking morphine drip shit.
You don't need a morphine
maybe
drip
just a
for
little
your
little intravenous morphine just in case. I was in a lot of discomfort. Nobody's ever pushed meds on me.
I feel like I have...
Actually, that's not true. One time they pushed Xanax on me and I accepted. But anyway,
yeah, I feel like I'm often offered pain medication and it's...
They want you strung out. They want strung out author Erin Khar to be strung out.
So I might have to. I told you earlier. I think I might be looking at another surgery.
And
well, I guess I'll get a relapse.
I know you're laughing.
Yeah.
If it was me, I would very much be looking forward to it.
I mean, when I had, so basically I have like, I may have to get the other half of my thyroid taken out is what the surgery is. So it's really painful the first couple of days afterwards. And even on a morphine drip, you're not feeling great. You can't really talk. And that sucks for somebody who's as chatty as I am. So no, I mean, I guess I like the feeling right before you go under in surgery. That's my favorite moment.
When you dip, the
like,
propofol dip.
Yes, right before you're going to go out. I like that feeling. And you don't even really feel high. It's just kind of like it's like nanoseconds of bliss and then you're just gone.
The thing with me, like, and I know I've said this on the show probably several times, if there is a opiate relapse or as prescribed scenario, I can't imagine doing it without smoking cigarettes.
I mean, when you, like, after my last thyroid surgery, I literally had a drain in my neck of blood. Right. So, like, I was not craving a cigarette. No. And also, I do think, like, when you're in pain, like physical, like severe pain after a surgery and you're on pain meds, you're just kind of out of it. And, like, I didn't feel like, oh, feels nice. I was just like, I was in pain and like that dulled the pain. So where are we at in this upcoming surgery? So I'm going to have an ultrasound on the 11th of my remaining half of a thyroid and to see if I have it, like I have growths, little nodules on that. And so it's kind of enlarged and to see how much they've grown in a year. Like I know I have to get it out at some point. It's a question of like, not if, but when. And my reluctance to get it out has just been because once I get it out, I'll have to be on Synthroid the rest of my life, which is fine. A lot of people are, but I've never actually had a thyroid dysfunction. I just have had the growths on my thyroid. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll know after the 11th. I told you that, like, when I went in for my thyroid thing, that they were going to give me meds, and I had just gotten sober. Like, I don't know, they were interested. Like, my thyroid wasn't properly functioning. And I turned down the meds, and I told Chris about it, and he was like, "Oh, you should have taken the thyroid meds because you would have gotten so skinny without having to work out," which is a funny thing, like he said. Are you worried? Should I be worried for you? About the surgery? Yes. I mean, there's always a risk with surgery, right? There's always a risk, but no, I mean, I think it's the risks for this particular surgery. There's like a less than 1% chance that they could damage my vocal cords during the surgery, which is a case for getting the thyroid removed before the growths get too big. Because when the larger they get, the more complicated the surgery is because there's less room in there. Because like one of the symptoms of having a growth on your thyroid, like when I lie down at night, I can feel like I feel like I have trouble swallowing. Like there's pressure because there's not that much room in your throat. So
now I'm worried.
No.
You see my face? Now I'm officially worried. What else from Mackenzie you got?
So I liked the Eddie Van Halen gambling story, and the thing that I wrote down is like she said like it was fun because he gave her money to gamble. She didn't have money to gamble, and I used to love gambling, but I realized like for fun, like I never had a gambling addiction. But the thing that I liked about it is I only gambled like if I went to Las Vegas with my dad and he would give me money to gamble.
Right.
I never gambled with my own. Gambling with your own money, like that's different. But I think I liked it when it was somebody else's money. The other thing, of course, that I loved that she mentioned was the episode, or I think you brought up the episode of 90210 that she was on.
Yes.
It was interesting to me that she said everybody was such a big diva because that's not what I've heard from people who worked on the show. But she did say nice things about Luke Perry, which I have consistently heard across the board, that he was a really lovely person, always made people feel welcome and warm on set, and was just people just across the board really have nice things to say about him. And I'm so sad that he died. That was like of any sort of like, I mean, you know, there's been a few celebrity deaths that like hit you. And that was obviously with my sort of long relationship with the show. That was a hard one.
I have to say 90210 is such a horrible show that like I can't watch it without benzos or opiates.
No,
I can't.
Oh,
I can't.
I have it. It's for me. It continues to be like a show I can throw on in the background.
It's a good eating show.
While I'm doing something else, and like I just think like it's fun. It's like it's my thing. Like I don't know.
When's the last time you watched it?
Maybe
this
like
morning.
a week. No,
this
like
morning.
probably like 2 weeks ago.
Which one did you watch?
I watched. It was which episode was it? It was senior year. It was the backstory, which is the episode. It's like they're a couple weeks into being back in high school, and this like tabloid television show comes on campus to like interview kids about like the truth behind like kids in Beverly Hills, and Steve gets upset because they did some trashy episode on his mom, but then Brenda like decides, because she's like fame hungry, wants to like go be on the show, and she has like this secret like smoking thing because she picked up smoking when she was in Paris, and she's hiding the smoking, and Kelly's still like, she had that fling with Dylan over the summer, so there's that tension. But the real big crux of the show is that Brenda does these interviews for the show, and then they like twist what she says.
She betrayed the group.
Yeah. So basically told all their secrets. So then like everybody watches on the news about like Kelly, the girl with the reputation, and like all that shit.
Now, I have to say that I hated 90210 in high school. Like I had like a girlfriend who loved it, and I was like, this is the worst. But when Todd moved in to my apartment on 24th Street, he loved it.
Yeah.
And they would show
the reruns.
They would show back to back.
Yep.
From 10 to noon.
Yeah.
And then they would show it again.
In the afternoon.
From 3 to 5. And we would watch them all.
Yeah.
Over and over again, high.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
Doing dope. And like, it was like quite a time. And
it was a good show to be high to.
It was a great show. For me, 90210 and Futurama, like they're shows that like, they're perfect if you're a little bit high. For me.
Right.
So Dopey Nation, what's your take? What's a great show to watch when you're very high?
But I can still watch it. Isn't that funny?
Like it doesn't. You got problems. I watch. You do. I mean, I'm sorry. That's a problem. I watch. These are the shows that I historically have watched The Sopranos over and over and over again through Dopey. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but after Michael Imperioli came on the show,
you couldn't watch it anymore?
I can't watch it. I cannot watch it anymore, which is depressing.
That's sad.
But maybe in like 5 years, I'll be able to again. I'm watching The Wire again. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to watch Oz again. Mm-hmm. But what I'm really ready to watch again, which I've watched many times, is Mad Men.
Ooh, I want to rewatch Mad Men. That's a good show.
I think Mad Men. It's not a particularly dopey show.
No,
there's one heroin addict.
Alcoholism.
Yeah, a lot of alcoholism. There's one junkie. There's the acid, which
that's
is great.
A good episode.
but like for my money, I think it's my favorite show. I just love the story of Don Draper.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's do a email.
Okay.
You want to read it?
Sure.
All right, read it.
Okay.
There's two choices. We've got three choices.
Okay.
The shorter American one, a little bit longer Scottish one, which starts here,
Okay.
or a really long American one. Why don't you do the short American one first?
The one at the top.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Dopey. In 1989, I was arrested on a roller coaster for passing and possessing counterfeit $20 bills while wearing a Sid Vicious t-shirt. At the time, my dad was an FBI agent and my brother was an IRS agent. My best friend, B, was arrested with me. His dad was a high-ranking state official in the Oklahoma Department of Corrections. Due to another co-defendant's cooperation, this led to the largest counterfeit bust in Oklahoma history, over $3 million. Wow. We were let off with a slap on the wrist. 2 years after that, B had a Fed state local task force to successfully convict him in an interstate cocaine ecstasy distribution case. The feds caught him with 1 kilo of powder and 800 hits of ecstasy. They also had him on a bank robbery charge. He got 10 years. It could have been at least triple that. After getting out and trying to live right, he was arrested and convicted of murder on a 15-year-old cold case on a body by someone that owed him money. Way back in 1985, his older brother was sentenced to 99 years while still in high school for a drug-related killing. My dopey resume: weed, acid, ex-coke, meth, needles, heroin, witnessed witchcraft, sweat lodge, worked at a Renaissance festival, and have been a delivery boy.
Nice.
Wow.
That's hardcore. Do you want to read this crazy Scottish one too?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it. Can I use their name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't use the last name.
Okay, I'm Robbie from Scotland. I adore hearing from the Scottish bird that I can't mind name.
Here, I'm gonna
All
read
right.
it. I can translate from Scottish. Here, give me the second bit.
Oh no, it's
He says, I'm Robbie from Scotland. I adore hearing from the Scottish bird that I can't remember the name of. Lowe's.
Right,
That's the one.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm not sure about this guy. Seems he's sorry I forcaught with the fent. He's talking about Jack.
Right.
I don't know if he didn't get caught, then he'd carry on killing lives with selling fent, like me in Scotland. I'm going to stop with my bad Scottish accent. I sold research chemical, benzo, but my moral compass said, no. Even if I lost money, I listen in bed to you every week, you and Chris, when I was sanctioned and put on benzodiazepines. I got caught with a bag of Xanax bars. I thought they searched you, but nope. I had them up my hole, no search. I had to dig them out because they was stuck, and I'm bleeding from the asshole searching, and I get them out. I'm wearing shorts, so put them in there. They fell out. Some asshole shouts, "Nurse, nurse," thinking the bag was Afghane. There was no coke because the Xanny bars was so crushed up my arsehole. And I said, I'm going to ram a bit of steel in you. And cops came, and I was out cold in my bed. They let me off, ha, ha, ha. And me and the guy kind of get on. He bought a bottle of vodka and stayed with me. But anyway, I'm so Diaz and clonazepam and Xanax addicted. What's Diaz?
Diaz?
Yeah.
Like D?
D-I-A-Z.
Diaz.
Diazepam,
Yeah.
right. You know, my Spanish teacher's name was Mr. Diaz, but we never thought to call him Mr. Diaz. No. I'm concerned that last dude was kind of like he only bothered because he got caught. Jay. Hardcore story, but dude, I love Dopey.
Wait, this guy is currently addicted to?
Yes.
Okay, which makes sense
Yes.
now.
Like I say, I listen every week since 2020, usually on a Monday morn when I Diaz and clonazepam out my nut. You guy and my nut, you guy, and like Erin Khar and Dopey Dresner.
Oh.
All the people have made it, and I love you. I'm rambling, bro, but mad love goes out to you, bro. I need a voicemail to us one night. Jay, I hear your story and hope you ain't the kid who goes back to it after doing time. Loved honesty and am twat fucked. I'm 36, Scotland, fucked up for years on benzos and snorting smack. Went to shop in my dress gown with my coffee, no shoes. You know, I've done a lot of mad. Chuck a piece at me sometime. Jay, hope you get the least sentence, dude. Dave, hit me up. I want a cool chat. Please, bro. I'm losing it all. Love they dopey cunts. There's an English guy, can't mind his name, but sure, I skated with him at South Bank in London. Anyway, please keep going. Keep on keeping on. It's Justin from England, I think, if skating with you. Yeah, he's cool, man. Big love. One love. And Dave, and you're a cool woman on all yous. You make me look forward to a thing every fucking week. I'd love to have peace, man. Shit, I've done disgusting. But it's gotta be told my parents sweep under carpet and buy me clonazepam and diazepam to keep me going. Mad love for them. But Dave, dude, I love every week for hilarity, connection, and ultimately fucking hope and big love. Hope I get voicemail or a mention, not cause it cool, just cause no other. Fucker, listen to me. X. That's Robbie.
Hey, Robbie.
And he's talking about Justin England, who got a Dopey tattoo. I think I mentioned it on the show.
I think I saw a picture somewhere. Yeah.
He got a Dopey tattoo, and another guy got a Dopey tattoo. I have to find a way to give him credit. If you're the other guy who got the praying mantis with the Dopey eyes tattoo, send it to me, and I'll give you proper credit for your incredible Dopey tattoo. I say yes to the Dopey tattoo.
Yes.
I say no to the Dopey face tattoo, though. That's going too far.
No.
Too far.
Face tattoos in general. It's a special person that can pull off a face tattoo.
You know, it would be awesome if somebody killed my cat and then got the Dopey teardrop tattoo on their face.
For killing the cat.
For killing my cat.
that was their kill.
Yes. I could live with that.
PETA would not like this.
No, PETA doesn't like any of this stuff. Anyway, thank you, Erin. This was a joy.
Thank you for having me.
And, we say stay strong, Dopey. Oh, fucking subscribe to YouTube, buy some merch, fucking...
Join Patreon.
Send
in Ask Erin questions.
Send in Ask Erin. Buy a candle. Send in Ask Erin candles. Fucking send in... The new thing is send in a video voicemail.
Ooh.
That can live in new areas of Patreon and YouTube, and we can see you.
But no nudes.
Well, I mean,
no.
Let your conscience be your guide. And stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris.
I want to take a walk around the world. I wonder would it do me any good? Until I get some money in my pocket, then I guess I'll just have to walk around my neighborhood. But I want to be good so bad. Want to be so good, so bad, so bad. I want to be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. And I want to take a ride up in the sky. Watch this aeroplane just pass me by. And I want to see a Lear jetliner take a dive, just to show all of these people what it means to be alive. But I want to be good so bad. Want to be so good, so bad, so bad. I want to be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. And my shadow's getting smaller and smaller, and it's time to know where I stand. Shadow's getting smaller and smaller, and it's time to know where I stand. And I wonder would they pay it any mind when I leave this busted city far behind. I'll take the high road, however far it winds, because peace and love are very, very, very hard to find. And I want to be good so bad. Want to be good so bad, so bad. I want to be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. Damn it, all these suckers make me mad. And it's all I ever had. And it's all I ever had. And these suckers make me mad, and I want to call my dad, and it's all I ever had. 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 And these suckers make me mad, and it's all I ever had. And I